out of it for me. I guess I scored a cool goal for the viral goal that was like I snuck behind the keeper and scored. But overall, it was a very disappointing. I absolutely love Dublin. Favorite place that I've lived. Sorry, Greenville. Sorry, everywhere else. Dublin's number one. The second game was awesome. It was one of my favorite memories here at Greenville. We played Lansing, first home game, and we went down 1-0. We didn't score the first week. We lost 1-0, and then in the second half, I got a goal, equalized 1-1 right in front of our away section, our supporter section. The Reedy River Riot place went crazy. We just ran back to half field. We wanted to get the winner, and when we ended up getting it through Kevin Pollitt's on a header, probably an 80-something minute. So that night was sold out. It was Greenville had arrived. Soccer had arrived in Greenville, and Greenville had arrived in the League One landscape. And that was definitely a special moment in my career for sure. Just because like when you start something new and you're building from scratch, it's not always going to be easy. But those first moments of success, you definitely just outside your room is Gareth. So I'm like, and I never met him before, but I knew what he looked like, and I was like, hey, I know you. And he introduced himself, and he's like, hey, blah blah blah, I'm the owner of the club, and I already knew all this stuff. And he's like, what, like, you have training, whatever? I was like, yeah, he's picking me up right now. So we walk out of the car together, and we had a little bit of conversation before this, a little small talk. I did not say these words at all, but so he goes to Liam as I'm getting in the car. He's like, Liam, is Jake going to start this Friday? And Liam's like, we'll see, whatever, we'll see. And Garrett goes, well, Jake said he can't score goals from the bench. I did not say that to him, for the record, Liam, if you're listening. That is not the conversation. Those games, like when we played against Trent Alexander-Arnold with Liverpool at Galway, just playing those games against these massive names is just so cool. And being on the same field as them, and these guys are worth like 50 million, 100 million, and we're sharing the same field, and they're obviously better. I mean, their quality is unbelievable, but we never lose the game 8-0. Like we lost to Newcastle 2-0. Liverpool was more of a youth team, but we beat them. And like even with Edmonton, we played Stoke, we played Newcastle, we played Burnley, and Burnley had like Sam Voke was on the field, Tarkowski, James Tarkowski. They had Newcastle had Shea Given. There's just so many games that I played through the years with these big names, and it's one of the coolest parts about being a pro at my level is these special games where you get to go and you get to play against these guys that you watch on the Saturday morning, and then you're like, I'm going up against Tarkowski, and there's pictures of me and Tarkowski, and he's like massive and like two of my bodies. But anyway, you see why he plays week in, week out in the Premier League. Right. But on that day, I think we lost to Burnley like 2-1. So it's not so ridiculous, and it's not like the U.S. women's team playing Thailand. It's definitely not like that. It's the gap is a lot smaller. I
reached out to Chris Lewis at Greenville, and I guess he was familiar with you from some kind of connection with Binghamton. I think he was working up there when you were playing up there, and he put me in touch with John, and I actually got to talk to John Hartz before you. Once again, John Hartz gives me a phone call while I'm at work, trying to do my work, and I got to run outside, take the phone call, and it just so happens to be, former U.S. national team legend,
and then unfortunately for me, we were away to Madison. We were up 1-0. I want to say like 89th minute. Went in for a tackle, hurt my foot. I didn't know exactly what happened at the time. I knew it wasn't great, but we didn't have any subs left, so I just hopped around for the last 5 minutes. We ended up beating Madison away, which Madison was at that time probably third in the league. They ended up finishing fourth, and they made the playoffs. So that was another massive win for us. And I don't think anybody realized that I had broken my foot at the time. I didn't know for sure either. But everybody's celebrating in the locker room. I think everybody thought it cramped up. And it was the first injury I've ever had, ever. So first time I've ever missed games, the only time I've ever missed a game through injury from 5 years old to whatever, 30 that I am now. So I missed the last 6 games of the regular season.
That happens, Jake. You're getting old, you know.
Before that point, I honestly had this mindset that like I was invincible, not invincible in this from the sense of like I couldn't be beaten or like I was the best striker in the world, but I thought I was invincible in the sense of like you can do whatever you want to me, but I can still play. Like I'm still be fit enough to play in the game, and that's obviously wrong, but that was my mindset at the time. I still have this saying. I think availability is the best ability. And I truly believe that. I think there's so many great players out there who get injured, who pick up a hamstring injury every other week or a niggle here, niggle there, and they're not available. So I took so much pride. I was like, might not be the best goal scorer, might not be the best target man, might not be the strongest or the fastest or whatever, but I will be available every week if you want to. End of November, right before Thanksgiving, we got an email. I remember vividly because I thought it was so ridiculous. We got an email from Jay Ball, who was the general manager, at 1:00 or 12:59, saying like, "Listen, the club is going to go on hiatus." And I don't think at that point the NASL had officially ceased operations, but the club, FC Edmonton, was going to go on a hiatus. And then at 1:00 on Twitter, it was announced by FC Edmonton, hey, like the same exact thing we just got at 12:59 via email. Which, again, that was just the cherry on top of the cake of just, in my opinion, a poorly run club. Like, at least have the decency to let the players know more than a minute, 30 seconds before the world knows. Because there was guys on that team that were on 2-year contracts. So they still had a contract for that 2018 season. I wasn't one of them, but I remember Albert Watson, he had a kid on the way. I think the kid was due in, like, December or whatever it was. And he had that second year on his contract. He was guaranteed second year, and the only way the contract would be voided was if the club folded or ceased or took a hiatus. So, I mean, I get that the ownership, it's his money and he can do with it as he pleases. I'm not someone that says, like, you have to do this, you have to fund us. No, it's your money. If you don't want to invest, that's fine. But I just think it could have been handled better from the standpoint of let the players know before you put it on Twitter. That's all I ask. And